113 pounds on mat number 2, wrestling in the 3rd and 4th place match, Riley White of Egan and Ryan Thompson of East Ridge. On mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 113 pounds, Noah Buck of Apple Valley and Jake Baker of Rosemount. At 120 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, Dawit Gabrib of Egan and DeAndre Lodge of Rosemount. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 120 pounds, Colin Labras of Park and Gannon Volk of Apple Valley. At 126 pounds on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, Freddie Guyton of Henry Sibley and Jack O'Brien of Burnsville. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 126 pounds, are George Farna of Eastview and Zach Pinka of Apple Valley. At 132 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Daniel Duvall of Park and Nick Holt of Egan. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 132 pounds, are Adam Hedin of Rosemount and Malu Waver of Apple Valley. At 138 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Alex Lindstrom of Eastview and Josh Lorenz of Rosemount. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 138 pounds, are David Gayu of Park and Seth Gross of Apple Valley. At 145 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, Jake Lanick of Park and Casey Dravis of Eastview. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 145 pounds, are Joe Doubles of Egan and Brock Morgan of Apple Valley. At 152 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Grant Jackson of Rosemount and Billy Marks of Eastview.
Mikey!
And wrestling on mat number 1 for the section championship at 152 pounds are Jose Rodriguez of Henry Sibley and Daviante Young of Apple Valley. At 160 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Corey Plata of Park and Connor Busho of Rosemount. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 160 pounds, are Jacob Rukavina of Eastview and Jackson Graham of Apple Valley. At 170 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Roman Burridge of Rosemount and Jordan Swanson of Eastview. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 170 pounds, are Garrett Beeman of Henry Sibley and Mark Hall of Apple Valley. At 182 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Nate Tigas of East Ridge and Koda Sugi of Rosemount. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 182 pounds, are Luke Dodd of Eastview and Bobby Stevenson of Apple Valley. At 195 pounds, on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Craig Szymanski of Rosemount and Jake Erke of Henry Sibley. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 195 pounds, are Nick Pegalo of Eastview and Gable Stevenson of Apple Valley. At 220 pounds, wrestling on mat number 2 for 3rd and 4th place, are Aaron Obermuller of Egan and Tom Delich of Eastview. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 220 pounds, are Cody Limson of Park and Paul Cheney of Apple Valley. And at 285 pounds on mat number 2, wrestling for 3rd and 4th place, are Justin Sabin of Park and Jack Buck of Eastview. And on mat number 1, wrestling for the section championship at 285 pounds, are Peyton Otterdahl of Rosemount and Lord Josh Hyman of Apple Valley.